Yo, what is up, Richmond Rillaboom fans? We're coming in with a team analysis video today where I'm going to be breaking down exactly how this draft went in this draft league of Pokemon draft leagues. Um, Guys, this is something I've been playing Pokemon competitive online showdown draft leagues since, like, man, 2016, I want to say. And we have just kicked off a brand new season of RGBL. This is a league RGBL that I have been a part of in the past for a couple seasons. I won one of my previous championships in this league uh, a few seasons ago. I had a team, I think, yeah, I had a really dope team in that league where I actually had a 1 point Pokemon Trapinch that like went off throughout my playoffs run and championship run, but it was built around Trapinch, kind of removing the Trap God, as you would call Trap God. Smash that like button if you know anything about the Trap God Trapinch. But yeah, that team was built around Zapdos and Nihilego, crazy offensive core, and then it had Zapdos and Slowking and Steelix, and then Trapinch, the Trap God, which I think got like 6 or 7 kills throughout my playoff slash championship run. Anyway, without getting too much off track here, today we are here to talk about RGBL Season 13, which just got kicked off, is getting underway just now. Um, Make sure you go check out the Week 1 Team Builder, Week 1 Battle. I won't leave any spoilers here, but you know, this channel is just getting started. We got our Richmond Rillaboom. Guys, we're wearing the Richmond Rillaboom green and white today. I just had brunch. I had a couple cocktails at brunch, so I'm ready to make a fun video. Here we go, baby. Today, we're talking about our team analysis, right? So this is where I tell you everything that I drafted in order from first round all the way to last, what my thought process was like, why I picked up the things that I picked up, and why we built what is this team that we built? What is it meant to do? Okay, so starting off with our first round pick, Iron Boulder. Okay, I don't know why the the sprite is not showing of Iron Boulder here. That's very disappointing. But look, Iron Boulder. It's also very important to talk about nicknames. Okay, some people, not everybody nicknames their Pokemon. It's key to getting good performances out of your team. You gotta give them a name. They gotta be well trained. Okay, you gotta show love. You gotta create that relationship with your Pokemon that you draft. And our first round pick is going to be Brock, baby. This is a rock psychic monster. Look at this thing's stats, you guys. 90 HP, 120 attack, 80 defense, 68 special attack. You're not really using that. 108 special defense, and 124 speed. So these are the key things. That speed and that attack, man, paired with the 90 HP, 80 defense, and 108 special defense, which is very, like, I wouldn't even say decent bulk. Like, it's like really solid bulk. With that crazy attack and speed, man, this thing is a monster, dude. With the Quark Drive ability, you can run things like Booster Energy to boost either the attack or speed, depending on your matchup. But check out, so really amazing thing about why I wanted Iron Boulder. And by the way, I was a number 6 pick in the draft. So number 6, you're gonna expect some of like the top things to be gone. Obviously, things like Dragapult is like always number 1 pick. Gouging Fire was what I really wanted to get this season because that's like a brand new shiny toy that just looks so cool. That was taken. Um, what else was taken early on? Like Iron Valiant, I think, was taken. Some of the other new mons. Um, but yeah, like it came to number 6 pick for me, and I was just looking at what was left, and I thought this thing looked like the most broken potential like sweeper mon that was on the board. And it's a new mon, so I always like using like the new mons because people don't really, nobody's really seen them in action in draft league yet, so that gives you an extra layer of like unpredictability. You get to be the person who's just kind of like experimenting and playing with different sets. So this thing, a big reason why this is so exciting, it gets this signature move Mighty Cleave, which is 95 base power rock move. So you don't have, and it's 100% accuracy. So you don't have to worry about missing stone edges, missing rock slides, which is like one of the main drawbacks of some of these awesome like rock type offensive mons like Terrakion, um, which Iron Boulder's kind of designed after, right? It's like this the Terrakion remix, right? But it's faster than Terrakion, way faster. And yeah, this rock move Mighty Cleave just takes it over the edge because also the Mighty Cleave it cannot it bypasses protection. So like anybody that's wanting to like do wish protect shenanigans or whatever, blast right through that shit. So this thing just looked really cool, and the fact that it gets agility, which you probably don't need because of its crazy speed, but it's got it's dual stab. Rocket Psychic is not a good typing defensively, but offensively, it's kind of nuts, man. Like the only things that want to switch into this guy are like crazy bulky ground types and crazy bulky steel types. But check out his move pool, right? Like you get close combat, so you can blow back those steel types like that. It also gets earthquake, again smashing those steel types, and psycho cut. Its psychic move is a high critical hit ratio, but you also get swords dance, man. So with a booster energy, if you're getting that speed boost, like nothing's outspeeding you basically, and you get a swords dance up, or even you can run like weakness policy sets where you take a super effective move. A lot of things are going to hit you super effectively with a rocket psychic type, so you could take, because of how crazy bulky it is, you could take a super effective move, get that +2 from the weakness policy, click agility or something, and just sweep, man. This thing is a monster sweeper. Like there's gonna be so many weeks where it has just an amazing chance to sweep. The only other thing aside from ground psychic types or ground and steel types that wants to switch in on a big rock move is fighting types, and they get destroyed by psycho cut. The psychic stab. So yeah, man, this thing's a monster. It also can it can run iron defense, which might be useful in some instances. But basically, man, it's just a very, very broken sweeper that's going to come in with a booster energy or like a choice band, and just run through it. And it can set up electric terrain for its own for itself, to where you might not have to run booster energy. Um, but yeah, man, this thing is very exciting to me. I'm very excited to use this. Check out my week 1 battle because it gets some action in there. Um, but yeah, Iron Boulder, man, watch out. Brock the Iron Boulder, baby. So coming around to round 2, um, I knew I wanted to pair. Anytime I'm in draft, I like to start looking at cores right away. The only potential drawback, really, of like draft wise, looking at Iron Boulder, was that it is kind of an awkward typing. Rock is psychic types. Um, Typically in draft, people are going to be prioritizing their fairy dragon steel cores, their water, grass, fire cores, especially those bulky waters. So early in those early rounds, like rounds 1 through 4, like people are going to be scrambling to grab their steel types, their fairies, their bulky waters. And so not taking one of those in round 1, I did feel like I was a bit behind as far as like getting some of those cores. But in general, even more than getting certain types, I like to think about what things complement my top tier threat that I just drafted. So when it came back around to me to round 2, I remember there were things like Zapdos still available. I love Zapdos. Zapdos has been a common denominator on every one of my championships I've ever won has had Zapdos on the squad. That thing is just so good. It fits on like almost any draft that you put together, and it's so good defensively. It's like one of the top checks to like some of the best offensive threats in the whole meta. It's also great offensively. Like flying electric is incredible. Dual stab offensively. It has a monster special attack stat, and that ground immunity for my rock psychic type. Like one of the few things, again, dealing with Iron Boulder is going to be big time ground type. So I was really looking at Zapdos. My one thing that kind of dissuaded me from Zapdos was that it doesn't get defog in this Gen 9 draft league format that we're playing under. So was kind of like bummed out about that. Um, Other things I was looking at were like Manaphy, some of the top tier. Like let's look at some of the. We'll look at the tiers list for this draft that we were in. So like all the 19 point mons were gone at this point. We had, I think, pretty much all the 18 point mons were gone as well when it came back to me. But things like another thing I was really looking at was Enamorus. I was really considering taking Enamorus round 2 again because you want to get your like fairy types right away, and you know a fairy type that had a ground immunity and could put extra pressure on those steel types, and as a special, powerful special attacker was very enticing. I really almost took an Amorous, and I was also thinking about Gliscor. I think that was also available, um, again because of the ground immunity, the ability to switch in on like fighting type moves, and also set up hazards and U-turn. But what I ended up going with, you guys, is Iron Treads. Round 2. Iron Treads, man. Again, because I knew that, look, round 2, I got a few picks. Being number 6 is not necessarily like super close to the wheel, so I didn't want like all the quality steel types to go get snatched up right like that. And Iron Treads just made a lot of sense for a multitude of reasons. Um, Again, it's aside from Great Tusk, Iron Treads is like the best uh, Iron Boulder switch in like out there with that ground and steel typing. It's 4 times resists my rock move, right? So one, that's always a great benefit if you can take one of your top. If you have one of these like top threats, top offensive threats that only has like 3 or 4 Pokemon that like really um, counter it very effectively and that really like switch in on it, great. If you can take one of those like very few counters off the table yourself, that's always like a huge bonus. So that's one reason why I wanted to take Iron Treads, because it's like, why not take one of the best Iron Boulder switch-ins out there so that nobody else has it? But also, it's just it adds so much value and utility as an early round pick to get one of the best rapid spinners out there. It gets rapid spin, to get one of the best stealth rockers out there. This thing has crazy dual stab with Earthquake, Heavy Slam, or Iron Head to really threaten fairy types. um, which is very, very valuable. It gets knockoff, um, and it also can set rocks, but it also gets volt switch, which makes this thing really special in my mind. Like to have a bulky, like really solid defense stat, but also really solid attack and speed stat. 106 speed is 90 HP, 112 attack, 120 defense, and 106 speed. This thing can be excellent as a defensive pivot or an offensive pivot. Like it can be like it can just straight up wall break or sweep, just like Iron Boulder can sweep. Like with in certain matchups with a booster energy, this thing can come in late game and just destroy things. Like Earthquake, Stone Edge is always such a great offensive like pairing. Um, but to give it that added layer of Volt Switch to be able to like Volt Switch out on some of those flying types, Volt Switch and do damage and get momentum on things that typically want to switch into this, uh, just makes it so freaking good. And the fact that it's one of the best rapid spinners, so it was just a great value pick, and I got my steel type off the board early round, so that ended up like I wasn't anticipating taking that at all, but like once it came to my pick and I was looking at what was left, it just made sense um, to grab it. So then um, my third pick of the draft, again, I was looking at what was available. I was still really considering Zapdos. I was really considering um, Manaphy again. I was really considering Enamorus still. I think Enamorus was still there. Um, but I'm just like looking at my team and I'm trying to figure out like okay, like what makes the most sense like synergy wise. What so I knew that basically the thing that people are going to have to bring every week against me to deal with Iron Boulder is ground types. Um ground types and steel types, but steel types like I can deal with Iron Boulder because you get that close combat, especially with Swords Dance and into a close combat. Like you can deal with most steel types, but most of the time, things that are going to be trying to check that are going to be ground types. So in my head, I'm thinking, what is the best thing available that can just over and over again deal with ground types, not only like destroy them and do a ton of damage to them, but potentially like exploit them, like reliably switch in and potentially like set up on them and just sweep from there or whatever. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, it's time, baby. I've never drafted my team mascot before, Rillaboom, and this is the perfect opportunity to draft Rillaboom. And so that is my third pick. Rillaboom, baby. We got the mascot this year. We're going for the championship with the team mascot, Rillaboom. And I got to figure out what this dude's. I haven't. So Megadon is the nickname for Iron Treads. Haven't nicknamed Rillaboom yet. So you guys, comment below, what do you think Rillaboom should be named? Do we name him Richmond? Do we name him, Boom Boom? I don't know. What are your comment below in the comment section? What are your suggestions for nicknames for our team mascot? We gotta have an epic nickname for the team mascot, Rillaboom, baby. Let's see what shiny Rillaboom looks like. It's just lighter green. We might also let me know, should I rock with the shiny Rillaboom or just the regular? I kind of like the regular, like dark green, man. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, Rillaboom is just here to. So it gets U-turn. I love my like one of my favorite ways to play draft league, like the way that I play competitive Pokemon is I very much like the uh, U-turn, Volt Switch, pivoting play style where I'm bringing some very scary offensive threats, and I'm pivoting throughout the game using U-turn, using Volt Switch to be able to get momentum, keep my opponent on their back heels, and get my big heavy hitters in for free in a position where they can just click a button and do massive damage. And I can, play with predictions and things while my opponent is on the back foot because I'm bringing in a heavy hitter and forcing them to switch or forcing them to just stay in and take a lot of damage. And usually, it just puts you in a great position because you can predict certain switches in certain areas, and if you build correctly and you brought Pokemon with the right coverage, you can really just cause havoc with that. So that's the way I like to play. So I love anything. I love that I'm already building like a U-turn Volt Switch core here with Iron Treads getting Volt Switch, Rillaboom getting U-turn. Um, Rillaboom's crazy strong. Look at his stats: 100 HP, 125 attack. So I've got three very strong physical attackers. Um, gets 90 defense with 100 HP. That's crazy bulky. Um, it could be a great defensive pivot again, coming in on those ground types. I guess 60 special attack, 70 special defense, not terrible, and 85 speed, which again, not terrible. It's like right, kind of middle of the pack, and outspeed a lot of decent things. And it gets an excellent priority move in Grassy Glide, which in terrain, which it sets itself, it gives you that priority move, and it's going to be boosted by the terrain for extra damage. This thing also gets Swords Dance. It also gets great coverage moves like Body Press, Drain Punch, gets high horsepower, which is crucial for things like Heatran, just blowing that thing back. Knockoff, which is huge, huge, huge for just removing things, items. Gets Leech Seed. You can run some cheeky, like defensive Leech Seed sets, which are very annoying with the Grassy Surge, healing, and Leech Seed, especially if you like get behind a substitute. Um, it can run Trail Blades to boost the speed and sweep. It's got Wood Hammer for very strong stab. This thing is freaking good, dude. And again, it's there. It's pretty much any ground type that my opponents want to bring that want to deal with Iron Boulder. Um, they're not gonna want to deal with Rillaboom. Rillaboom's gonna be able to switch in on them most of the time and just exploit them either by simply getting momentum with U-turn, or just sitting there forcing them to switch out and Swords Dancing, and then potentially sweeping with like Grassy Glides late game, or knocking off items. Anything. This thing's great, and it's our team mascot, man. So let me know what do you think should I nickname the team mascot? Okay, so I need to keep this moving because this is going to be very long. Because I tend to be long-winded. So our next pick, I'm looking at what was left, and I'm thinking, okay, so what was happening in round 4? Okay, so I remember. So after round 3, it went all the way down to like we had 16 coaches in this draft, so I had to wait like another 20 picks before my next pick, and I'm waiting for it to come back to me, and I see somebody take Clefable, which was one of the things that I saw like still left in round 3 that I actually considered taking, and but I see Clefable get picked like close to that wheel. And then from there, I was like, as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, everybody's about to start taking their fairies now. And sure enough, it just started going like fairy, fairy, fairy. Like, you know, what were some of the other fairies that were taken? Primarina, um, an Amorous, like it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fairies got taken right like that after that Clefable, and I knew, I'm like, if I don't get my fairy now, like on my next pick, um, I'm gonna end up with like a trash fairy or just like no fairy at all because it's a limited dex. We're playing with the Gen 9. This is not a national dex league. So Sylveon was there when it came back to me, so I took Sylveon because I'm like, I need to take the best fairy available, or else I'm not gonna get a good fairy. And I really wanted to have a Wish Passer that was either fairy or water, that could pass wishes into my Iron Treads. And so Sylveon just seemed like the best option there. I was thinking of trying to wait and get Vaporeon later on, but I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to risk the snipes. And Sylveon's really good, man. Like Sylveon, so it gets the Pixelate ability, which boosts. It turns normal type moves into fairy, and gives them a 1.2 times boost to damage. So hyper voices become very strong fairy stab moves that go through substitutes. Um, this thing is very bulky, 95 HP, 65 attack, 65 defense, 110 special attack. So it can hit like a truck in certain instances. If you build it offensively, it can be very scary with like a choice specs, or choice scarf randomly. And 130 special defense. This thing eats hit for days on the special defense side. And of course, you can run Calm Mind sets. Calm Mind Sylveons are very scary when you put like all that investment into HP and physical defense, and then you just give it leftovers in a Calm Mind. Like if you're not prepared for this thing, like it can just sit in on your team and set up Calm Minds and just win. It gets the Psychic coverage for the poison types, Psychic and Psyshock. Gets Shadow Ball for like nice kind of neutral damage on a lot of things. Um, Draining Kiss can be nice for those Calm Mind sets to heal yourself up while doing damage. Gets Baton Pass for some nice like dry momentum. You can't pass boosts in this league with Baton Pass, but a nice like momentum move. Gets Roar for phasing things out. And of course Wish, Protect, typical set. So a lot of times this is going to be like Wish, Protect, Hyper Voice, Baton Pass, or whatever. Like it just checks a lot of very scary dragons in the metagame. And like I said, I'm not opposed to running like the occasional choice back Sylveon and just blowing things back, especially if they're not expecting it. Like that thing can really tear through some teams and be an excellent wall breaker. So we got our fairy type. So we got our steel and our fairy early on. That was great. Now, coming back around, there were a lot of really good things still available, and I was really looking at Manaphy in this next round. I think a lot of these like 16, 17 point mons were still there. Things like Quackleval got taken, and things like Slowking Galar got taken. Walking Wake was something I was very much considering in like the second, third rounds as like an excellent offensive complement to Iron Boulder. But ultimately, I maybe like reached a little bit in this fifth round, but I ended up taking Duraludon. Oh, and Sylveon's nickname, by the way, is Sylvia. Shout outs to my car, my Honda Accord, silver Honda Accord, which is nicknamed Sylvia, and our Sylveon is Sylvia. And she's always going to be female. Duraludon, aka Boptimus, which I'm proud of that nickname. I made myself chuckle a lot when I nicknamed this thing Boptimus, and I was watching my week 1 battle, and I kept saying, and so I can bring in Boptimus. When I knew this thing could Terra, and now that Archaludon is a thing, and Duraludon can use Eviolite, with 70 HP, 95 attack, 115 defense, 120 special attack, 50 defense, 85 speed, with that physical defense and HP stat with an Eviolite, this thing is so hard to kill. It takes so many hits with a Eviolite, you guys. And Steel and Dragon is such a good defensive typing. Like, the only things that can really, like, dent it are, again, ground types and fighting types, which I just got my great fairy, and I already have Rillaboom for ground types. And I can make this thing Terrastalize. It can be a Terramon. So the Terra types that I chose for Duraludon: Flying, Dragon. One of the types has to be my stab type, so Dragon, Flying, and Ground. So Ground is for offensive Duraludons when the only thing that really like stand in Duraludon's way, like offensively, if it's running an offensive set, like full speed, full special attack, the only things that can really like deal with it are steel types. With dragon and steel typing, Dragon Pulse, Flash Cannon, whoops, Dragon Pulse or Draco Meteor and Flash Cannon, like only things that's like a fairy cannot switch into Duraludon because it has steel. It has steel stab type moves. It can blow them back. Um, Steel types are basically like one of the few things that can switch into it. It does get body press to hit steel types pretty hard, especially if you're a defensive Duraludon. And it gets iron defense and body press, which especially with that Eviolite, man, like you become so hard to deal with when you're running defensive sets. But offensively, with that Terra Ground, like if I'm Terra Ground and Dragon Pulse, Flash Cannon, and Terra Ground, Terra Blast, like what takes a hit from that? 120 special attack, like this thing is a monster. And with a Violite, if I want to run a Violite defensive types, again, like the only things that can really hit it hard are ground and fighting type, like stab, like close combat, earthquake, or earth power. But like, there's not really that many mons that get a great like fighting type special attacking move. Like things are going to be forced to run focus blast if anything. So anyway, that's why I chose Terra Flying, because I can take those fighting type moves. I can be immune to ground type moves, and you can do all kinds of crazy defensive sets with a Terra Flying Duraludon. You can run Iron Defense with like Rest. You can run Iron Defense with Body Press, Rest, Sleep Talk. You can run um, just Stealth Rocks, Roar, uh, Thunderwave. Like you can do utility sets. You can set screens. You can set light screen to where you're just really nothing is killing you. Like uh, this thing is so good as a Terramon. It also gets Dragon Tail for phasing. Um, so I knew right away when I saw that this could Terrastalize, I knew I wanted Duraludon to be one of my Terramons. Um, so yeah, I picked that. God, I gotta be aware of my time here. Um, okay, so I'm gonna try to move faster through these next picks because I know I'm talking a lot, you guys. I just get so like I nerd out on draft league so much. Okay, so 5th round pick. Look, I mentioned a couple times I've been thinking about taking this thing since like round 2 or 3, and it was still somehow there in round 6. Manaphy, baby, aka DJ Manny Fresh. DJ Manny Fresh. Go DJ, that my DJ. Had to take Manaphy, man. I haven't used this thing probably since like 2017, 2018 in draft league. But this was one of my OGs, man. Like my first draft league I ever drafted in. I took Manaphy as one of my first picks, either my first or second pick, and it was so good, man. It's so fun to build with. It can do so many things. It's one of those base 100 mons where just 100 in every stat, meaning it can do anything. It can be physically defensive, it can be specially defensive, it could be physically offensive or especially offensive. And it's one of its like kind of signature sets, right? The tail glow set, which gives you a ×3 special attacks boost. Crazy, dude. With the coverage that it has, getting grass type moves in energy ball, getting scald, ice beam, like tail glow, scald, ice beam, energy ball, like it just wrecks so many teams. People have to prep for Manaphy so much every time just for that tail glow set. It also gets U-turn, which again I said how much I love momentum mons. It gets stored power, so you can run like Calm Mind stored power sets to give yourself like enough HP, enough physical defense to take some crucial hits and just be able to calm mind and boost your special defense up to where again this mon starts to become like unkillable. Um, it now gets flip turn, which I didn't even know. It gets flip turn for like water stab momentum. Um, Guys, Manaphy is freaking great. Manaphy is so good. It gets light screen and reflect, which beware, guys. I will bring some screen, like I will bring some cheeky Manaphy sets where, like I said, like everybody has to prepare for those tail glow sets because they just like if you don't prepare for them, they will destroy you. But Manaphy can do so many other things. It's not like pigeonholed by any means, and it's great with substitute sets because of its excellent bulk, like base 100 water type. You can there's so many things that don't break your substitute that want to try to deal with a tail glow Manaphy, and so you can just set up a sub and like sit and just chill behind him, set up calm minds, and just fuck shit up. Like Manaphy is freaking amazing, you guys. It also gets crazy moves like there's this other signature move that Manaphy gets that not many people remember or think about. Heart swap, which swaps all stat changes with the target. So if you're ever facing like a friggin' Quiver Dance Volcarona or something crazy like that, and you can bring or like other really threatening setup sweepers, you could bring Heart Swap Manaphy and just reverse sweep them by stealing all of their boosts that they've gotten. You literally remove all of their boosts and give them to yourself. Heart Swap is a crazy good move. It also gets acid armor to raise its defense by 2. Like this thing is crazy good, you guys. It gets knockoff. Um, Stay tuned because I'm gonna be cooking. I'm gonna be cooking in the kitchen with Manaphy. Um, Now, next pick, we got to keep this moving. I knew I needed an electric type. I needed some ground immunities with, I still have some of my top mons, Iron Boulder, Iron Treads, Boptimus, even though he gets the Terra Flying and can become immune to ground. I knew I needed some ground immunities, and I wanted a good electric type. So, my next pick, Vikavolt. I love electric types that have that ground immunity to where you know you don't have basically the only things that like base electric types are immune to or are weak to is ground. So Vikavolt, the other advantage of Vikavolt is it's one of the best sticky web users out there, and with the crazy speed stat that Iron Boulder has and its crazy like sweeping potential, to be able to run sticky webs and just basically like shut down anything that wants to try to run like a choice scarf to try to outspeed my sweeper, um, and and basically like nullify that with sticky web, which is a hazard that removes it reduces your speed by one when you come in. Um, that alone is worth taking in, but Vikavolt is freaking good, you guys. And it was only 6 points. So with the Duraludon, I could use this as my other Terra Captain. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm taking Vikavolt. So I got both my Terra Captains now. Vikavolt is Bug Electric type. It's got base 77 HP, 70 attack, 90 defense, 145 special defense, 75 no 145 special attack, 75 special defense, 43 speed. So not good speed, but it can run agility. And those slow volt switches are actually very helpful with its bulk because of its speed being so low. A lot of times you're just going to be running like full HP and you know, some defense, some special defense, and it gets great coverage with Bug Buzz being a very solid stab move to go with that electric stab, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt. Also gets Energy Ball to blow back ground types that want to try to stop your Volt switching. Um, it gets Thunder Wave, which is great. It used to get Roost, which kind of sucks that it doesn't get Roost anymore. But with this as my Terra type, I made it Terra Steel, Terra Electric, which is excellent. Even just being Terra Electric, you're gonna double your power of your electric moves, and also make it so that you literally have zero weaknesses. Nothing can hit you super effectively when you're an electric type, as with the levitate ability, unless somebody has a mold breaker. But electric type, steel type, and fairy type are the Terras that I can switch into, and it already like Terra Steel is great because as the bug type, a lot of times because of this thing is so bulky, one of the few things that can do damage to it is like rock type moves. Um, so you can negate any kind of rock type moves that want to hit you. Um, it it gives me another thing that can take like ice type moves, um, and gives me a solid like it's just to have a bulky steel type that can click a volt switch and is not weak to ground moves is just really good. So this thing's great. And again, 145 special attack, like that is like a freaking truck. Especially if I'm Terra Electric, like things do not want to take a Terra Electric Volt Switch or Thunderbolt from this. It's gonna be blowing things back, and sticky webs is just always like something that people have to worry about. Like sticky webs can really change the entire like course of a game. Um, so what was our next pick here? We're coming up. So we've got at this point in the draft, we've got a very solid core going. We've got both of our Terra types. I'm still wanting like more ground immunities. I wanted a good flying type. In case people were like bringing Mold Breaker or stuff like Mold Breaker, Excadrill. I didn't want to just destroy my face. So I'm like, okay, I need a good flying type. Also needed a fire type. So what did I take? Moltres. Moltres is really solid, you guys, especially ever since heavy duty boots became a thing. Like The only thing that used to like really hold us back is his 4 times weakness to rocks, and stealth rocks being a thing. To take 50% damage when you switch in just really was a handicap for a lot of these like fire flying, like Charizard, same issue. But Moltres, its stats: 90 HP, 100 attack, 90 defense, 125 special attack, 85 special defense, 90 speed, like solid stats across the board. It can be great offensively or defensively, either way you want to go. Physically offensive, especially offensive, especially defensive. Like it can literally do whatever you want it to do. Also gets U-turn again. This team has so much momentum, which I freaking love. Um, has amazing abilities in pressure for being able to stall things out, and flame body, which is so good for deterring and kind of punishing other teams that like to use momentum, that like to use U-turn a lot. When you can switch Moltres in on somebody, when you think somebody's going to click U-turn and they hit that, uh, one, you 4 times resist the U-turn with the fire and flying type, but also with Flame Body, you have a 30% chance to burn anything making contact with you. So you can burn Pokemon like Scizor, Pokemon like whatever one is wants to click U-turn on you, to be able to catch those sneaky Flame Body burns on them. Again, can change the course of the game just like that, to like basically handicap one of their best offensive threats. Um, Such a good ability. This thing gets great coverage in Heat Wave, Overheat, Flamethrower, that fire coverage. Also with the Hurricane, uh, can really do a lot of damage to like bulky waters that want to come in on it. And Scorching Sands, is a way to hit rock types that want to come in, hit them super effectively and have a 30% chance to burn them. It gets Tailwind, gets Roost for survivability. This thing can really, like, if you don't prep for Moltres, it can really just wall a lot of things. And like I mentioned, some of the top like sweeping threats and top offensive threats in the game, like Scizor or like a Rillaboom, for example. Again, like taking one of the best counters off the board of one of our top mons, Rillaboom. Like Moltres is one of the best Rillaboom counters, so you remove that, right? Um, but with agility as well, this thing can like set up and just run through teams offensively. But it's a great defensive pivot with U-turn and just this um, dual defensive typing, being able to come in on ground types, come in on fighting types, get those flame body burns, and force things to run like rock coverage. Um, just really good, and the fact that I have Iron Treads to go with it as well, like um, having Iron Treads and Rillaboom and uh, Manaphy and Duraludon, like it pairs so well defensively with some of the things I already have. Like it can come in on basically anything that wants to hit Iron Treads super effectively, fire, fighting, ground types. Moltres switches in on great. Anything that wants to hit Moltres, primarily rock moves. Iron Treads 4 times resist that. Rillaboom comes in on that as well. Water type moves, rock and water. Like I have switch-ins for Manaphy, Rillaboom, Iron Treads, all come in on that easy. Duraludon coming in on rock moves and water moves and electric moves. Iron Treads being immune to electric. So you see the synergy. Amazing synergy there. Okay. Next pick. We're coming down to getting late in the draft, and basically at this point, I'm kind of like looking at what is best available for one, and I'm also looking at some key typings that I still don't have. So I definitely wanted. At this point, I knew I was probably going to take like 10 Pokemon total. You can take anywhere from um, 10 to 12 in this league, I think, maybe 9 to 12. But I knew I had enough points to like probably want to take 10. I'd rather take 10 good Pokemon than like 12 mediocre ones. So I'm looking at what's best available, and I'm also looking at, I knew I wanted, between all the things that I have, the few typings that I had left that I really wanted was like, I knew I wanted a grounded poison, and I knew I wanted a dark type. And if I could, I would like to get a ghost type as well. So I was looking at a number of things, like things like, what were some of the things still left at this point? Like Scun Tank was still available, which was a dark and poison type. Um, I was thinking about like Zoroark, which was a dark type. I was looking at Hisuian Zoroark, which normal and ghost type. And the illusion ability is always like Zoroark is always like a mind fuck to try to play against. Um, but I ended up taking one of my, again, another one of my OG like favorite Pokemon, which was also on the first Pokemon team that I ever drafted, Hydreigon. Um, oh, and we forgot the nicknames. Moltres is gonna be Hot Wings. Vikavolt is gonna be A Drive. Shout outs to A Drive, one of the first Pokemon YouTubers that got me into Draft League. Hydreigon, I haven't decided yet. Might be Head Hands. Might be Boris times 3. I don't know. Comment below what you think. Hydreigons might be Balarian from Game of Thrones. It's always cool. Hydreigon can just do a lot, man. It's just a monster. You have to prep for Hydreigon. It drops Dracos that hit hard as crap. 125 special attack. Again, excellent bulk. It's one of those super diverse Pokemon. Like everybody has to prep for it to be offensive, like Choice Scarf or Choice Specs or Life Orb sets. But with 92 HP, 105 attack, 90 defense, 90 special defense, 98 speed, like this thing can be bulky. It can run random defensive sets. Um, it gets Thunder Wave. It gets utility moves like Thunder Wave. Again, it gets U-turn. So you're seeing a theme here. I love momentum on my Mons. But it gets excellent coverage with that Dragon Stab, Earth Power to hit ground types, Flamethrower to hit ground types. It gets Flash Cannon for fairy types. Gets Stealth Rock now. It gets Nasty Plot to set up and just like excellent wall breaker. I needed some more like mons that you can see like my last 3 picks are just all like hit like a truck on the special attacking side because some of my first picks and some of my top picks were really strong offensive attack mons. I wanted to get some like special attacking threats. And Hydreigon is that. It's one of the best out there. It gives me that dark typing that I was missing and another levitate mon, another ground immunity. But yeah, with Nasty Plot, and it also gets Dragon Dance with, again, with 105 physical attack. Everybody's like prepping for this thing to be specially attacking all the time, but this thing can run a Dragon Dance set and just sweep with Crunch and uh, like Outrage or Earthquake, like Rock Slide. Like this thing is a major threat as like a Dragon Dance sweeper. Um, Again, I love momentum. Anything that gets U-turn and like strong offensive stats. It fits great in speed tiers with 98 speed. With my what else I got? 90 speed. Um, and I needed that dark typing, and I'm never opposed to having like double dragons on my team. So Hydreigon is just great, and one of the best things in Draft League, guys, is diversity. And Hydreigon just can just run so many different sets. It can be Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, Life Orb, Wall Breaker, Dragon Dance, Sweeper. It can be defensive sets to check like scary fire types or ground types. Or water types. It can be friggin' Thunder Wave on those defensive utilities. It could set Stealth Rocks. It can um, run Assault Vest sets. Like it can do so many things, which I value probably more than anything in draft. All right, next pick, you guys. Let me see. So, like I said, at this point, I'm looking at what's best available. So Hydreigon was easily one of the best things still available at this point. I can't believe I got it that late, and I can't believe I got Manaphy like round 6. So I'm like so happy with this team at this point. The thing that I was really wanting next was a grounded poison to be able to soak up toxic spikes, because I don't want toxic spikes to just be a menace to like things like my Rillaboom, things like my Sylveon, Manaphy. Um, Toxic spikes can just be really annoying um, to deal with if you don't have a grounded poison. So I'm looking at what are the grounded poisons still available. Like I said, Skuntank was still a thing. I think Wheezing was still around. One of the things I was looking at. I think there was Haunter was one thing I was looking at because it's like one of those low tier, and I knew I wanted a Ghost as well. But oh, and Muck. It really came down to I was looking at either Grafii or Muck, and both of these things looked excellent fits for my team as a whole of what I had. Muck giving me another like specially defensive mon that just pairs and synergizes really well. It can take hits for days, especially if you don't prep for it. And just with all the ground immunity that I just got, and things like Rillaboom giving that grassy terrain recovery, and things like Muck would look really good on this squad, and can do a lot of cool things. Like it just got great coverage with knockoff and poison stab and drain punch and curse sets and things. Acid armor, like, and it gets cool abilities. But ultimately, I went with Grafii, which is a great gadget mon. It's got 110 speed, which fits excellent with my speed tiers that I have already. 63 HP, 95 attack, so decent attack. Uh, 65 defense, so it's frail. Um, Decent special attack actually. Does it get nasty plot? Doesn't get nasty plot, but it does get swords dance and its abilities. So this thing's abilities are the key here. Unburden, which I can take advantage of with Rillaboom, with the grassy terrain, with like grassy seed sets, grassy seed unburden sets, with Swords Dance, are going to be a major threat to sweep in some matchups. Um, but the other ability, Prankster, this thing with Prankster Encore and Prankster Parting Shot are such valuable utility moves um, from like one of these low tier like last round picks. Um, it's such a hard stop to certain top tier threats. Like when I'm facing things that are super scary, like Dragonites or Salamence, things that can just like run through your team after a couple setup moves. Um, to have a prankster mon on the squad that can come in and click encore or come in and click parting shot to just priority get out and weaken things. And again, another excellent momentum move to bring in some of our wall breakers, bring in some of our things like Iron Boulder, like to parting shot out and bring in Iron Boulder or bring in Manaphy or Rillaboom, all these things that we have that can set up Sylveon, um, Hydreigon, like it just fits really well on this team and it gives so much value. It can be an excellent support mon with Prankster, or it can be an excellent like uh, sneaky unburden sweeper on some sets, some matchups. Unburden with knockoff poison jab or gunk shot and like low kick can really run through some teams after a swords dance. Um, so it's definitely something people have to watch out for. And anytime you can get like a Pokemon that's like not that many points late in the draft that still causes a lot of headache for your opponents and prep is excellent. So, last pick, you guys. Um, we only had 1 point left, and we're looking at some of those low point legends, 1 point legends. Unfortunately, Trapinch, my boy Trapinch, was not um, 1 point anymore. He's now 2 points because people have woke up to since seeing my championship run, and maybe they didn't see my championship run, but other people have realized the greatness of Trapinch. He's no longer 1 point, so it was very sad I couldn't take him. But we needed a ghost type, and you guys do not sleep on Lampent. It's lit. Lampent is lit, okay? He's just lit. And he might be shiny. I don't know. But this thing, its stats don't look amazing, right? 60 HP, 40 attack, 60 defense, 95 special attack. So pretty good special attack. 60 defense, 55 speed. But with an Inviolate, you slap an Inviolate on this thing because its evolution is Chandelure, obviously. But with an Inviolate and either the Flash Fire or Flame Body ability, this thing can be a problem if you do not prep for it. I promise you. Look at his move pool. Acid Armor. Calm Mind. With an Eviolite again, you get full HP, full like defense, and start setting up some Calm Minds. All of a sudden, you're like, I can't kill this thing. It gets Pain Split for survivability, especially with Flame Body. If things are like trying to hit it and they get burned, watch out for Lampent. I'm telling you, it's lit. He will come in and he will do work at times. It gives me a Trick Room option if I ever want to run Trick Room, which could be nice for like Vikavolt at times, um, or it could just do damage itself. With it gets Will-O-Wisp to burn some of those physical attackers that might want to try to like come in and click knockoff or something. Lampent, I'm telling you, if you sleep on Lampent, it's going to be a problem. So anyway, guys, that's the team that gives me my ghost type. It rounded out all the types that I really wanted, and I freaking love this team. I'm so excited to build with it every single week. I think it's going to be amazing. I've literally got some of my favorite Pokemon in Manaphy and Hydreigon. We've got a really cool new Pokemon in Iron Boulder, which is going to be, I think, could easily end up being the league MVP with its ability to sweep week in and week out. I've got the team mascot in Rillaboom for the Richmond Rillabooms, and Duraludon, which I think is like the best Terramon in the league right now. So this team is solid, man. It's got great synergy. Everything works well together. Everything helps each other. Like the things that each Pokemon does really help support the rest of the team members. This team is going to be good. It's going to be really good. And here, I'll show you a little graphic, which you might be able to see here. This is the full team and it shows you my Terra types there. But that is it. this team builder ended up being a lot longer than I anticipated. So if you've stayed all the way through, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you smash the subscribe button. This is a brand new channel, so those likes and subscribes really help it to grow. And I'm just obviously I'm a nerd with this shit, so I'm just having fun making these videos, and I plan to improve the quality as I go. So I appreciate all the views so far. You guys are amazing, and I hope to bring you some lots of wins this season. Make sure you check out the Week 1 Team Builder Week 1 live battle. I already put those up on the channel. And now that you have an idea of my thought process for the team, make sure you also comment what are those nickname suggestions, and also comment um, what do you anticipate to be the team MVP. What do you think? Which Mon do you think is gonna get the most kills? I'm gonna say Lampin. Lampin's gonna. It's lit. Lampin's gonna put in work. He's gonna come into one battle and get 10 kills. Um. All right. With that, I'm signing off, you guys. Much love. We'll see you next time for the Richmond Rillaboom. Peace.